Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I wanted to talk about one of my all-time favorite computer games, Phantasmagoria 2, A Puzzle of Flesh. So if you don't know what Phantasmagoria 2, A Puzzle of Flesh is, it is a full-motion video game, point-and-click adventure, starring Paul Morgan Stetler as Curtis Craig, and you are having all these crazy visions, people are getting killed, you're working in this office building and all this strange stuff starts happening, and you have to kind of piece together and go through the story of what's going on, picking up and using items and talking to people to advance the story, and it's all full motion video. Obviously, since I'm a Sega CD guy, full motion video is my bag. I love it. And I knew the limitations of the Sega CD, obviously. You know, the screen was truncated, it was grainy. But when I got a computer and full motion video was still sort of popular a little bit on the computer, unlike at the time N64 didn't do FMV, PlayStation did minimal FMV with things like Fox Hunt and Psychic Detective, which I love, but minimally. Saturn, again, minimally more in Japan with FMV. But computers still sort of had that little niche audience for full motion video titles. A Puzzle of Flesh is the sequel. The first one is Phantasmagoria. I played some of Phantasmagoria, but I played A Puzzle of Flesh first. So I'm very nostalgic and into the second game. The first game I liked what I played, but I didn't get very far. I didn't play it long enough. It's definitely more horror-rooted, the first title, where the second one is horror, but it also has a lot of science fiction-y elements as the game progresses. So it's a fun game. It's creepy, it's cheesy, it's a little weird, and if you're a full motion video game or even just a point and click adventure game fan, I would highly recommend Phantasmagoria 2, A Puzzle of Flesh. It is a great game, and at the time when things like Super Mario RPG, Mario 64, Quake, I believe, were popular and just came out, this was very different than that. And I probably didn't play it on release. I think I probably played it maybe a year or two later. So I was probably 16 maybe when I played this game, and it has a lot of mature adult themes. There's strip clubs and bondage, and they touch upon one of the characters being homosexual. There's a lot of things in the game that now are sort of standard fare, lots of gore and violence, but back then when you're playing a full motion video game that's like a movie that you're interacting with, and there's all this crazy stuff happening, it's very groundbreaking. Now you may play it and say, you know, no big deal, there's a bondage club and this girl shows her boobs, okay. But back then it was a very big deal. It wasn't happening and was very cool at the time to see all this interesting stuff. And it was creepy in a way. Some of the playing a game that is real looking with jump scares and, you know, violence and blood, there was some cool stuff in it that regular video games, except Resident Evil, didn't really have. And Resident Evil actually came out the same year as well, I believe. So I just wanted to say how much I loved Phantasmagoria, especially A Puzzle of Flesh, as I said. And what sort of triggered this in me this morning to make this video and be inspired is, I don't know if it's Paul Morgan Stetler's channel or if this group got together to hire the people from the game to do interviews, but there's a new YouTube channel called Conversations with Curtis. I'm going to link it down in the description, and they're interviewing all the actors from the game, and it's just really cool to see them after so many years. It's like sort of seeing old friends and hearing behind the scenes, you know, things happening and how they got the parts and about their friendships and relationships. It's just really interesting, and I'm going through it now, but I'm loving it. So kudos to them for doing that. As I said, that's going to be a link down in the description, as well as the Steam link to Phantasmagoria 2, A Puzzle of Flesh. So back when I played it, I had, I think it was 6 discs, if I remember correctly. And, you know, you had to switch discs after each episode or after each section. Things had to load. Nowadays, you guys don't know how easy you have it with Steam and GOG, and things are like almost instant, so it's pretty crazy. But you could still play it, and you could play it now on Steam. At the time, I know, you know, you're not supposed to really talk about this, but my friend Steve and I loved these games, and I had, I think, either owned part 2, or maybe I burnt it for him from this, I don't remember, and we would quote all the insane asylum scenes from Phantasmagoria 2, A Puzzle of Flesh, because it was very quotable. At that time, you know, you either quoted movies or you quoted video games. It wasn't like, just wasn't as rampant with things being online. There was no YouTube, I don't think, back then. I think Real Player was pretty big. We were watching concerts on Real Player that looked like hell. So, yeah, check out Phantasmagoria, the series in general, if you like point-and-click horror and adventure games, but I wholeheartedly recommend 2 if you like that FMV cheesy flair that I recommended. So check out the links in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I look very forward to watching more Conversations with Curtis. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.